we'll wait for one more minute to make sure we have a good number of people here. Please join me on this map. Again, I'm sharing a link to that in the chat. We'll use this map to collect all the questions we have, and also we will. This map has a lot of useful resources about educational license and how to get the free educational license, some examples of professors using Felt in their classrooms, and also a complete guide to using Felt that is like a video tutorial where you'll be walked through all the features. I think with that, we have a really good number of people here, and I'm already seeing some people joining me on the map. So I'm really, really excited to pass it over to Catherine Dubrec, who will walk us through her use case in Felt and how she is using it in the classroom. Thank you so much. And Catherine, please take it away.
Great. Thank you so much. There's a huge number of people on here and some names I recognize. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining today, and thanks to the Felt team for inviting me to speak. I'm really excited to share what I've been up to with Felt. Just share quickly. Awesome. So I'm going to bounce between slides and internet browser, but just a quick intro on who I am. So my name's Catherine. I'm an adjunct instructor with the Rochester Institute of Technology. I teach a couple intro GIS courses there. It's located in Rochester, New York. The first course I teach it's called Introduction to Geographic Information Systems. I've been teaching it every semester, fall and spring, since January 2022, so coming up on 2 years. And it's been awesome, and every semester is different. As I learn new tools like Felt, I'm trying to integrate things into the classroom and share that with students. So I'm really happy to have learned about Felt myself and now be able to share that with students. And the other course I teach, this is my first semester, it's every fall, and it's an honors course. It's called Maps as New Media. So it's just kind of introducing students rather than sticking to one software the whole semester. It's more, here's a ton of stuff you can do with GIS and maps. And it's been a lot of fun. And within both of those courses, so the university is an Esri shop. So a lot of the weeks we spend learning about Esri software, but I do like to have 1 week on open source and alternative mapping. So that's where Felt has come in this semester. And that's Felt, even though Felt's not really like open source, we talk about QGIS. And so I'd like to share a little bit about that plugin with you, which I share with the students. And then we do talk about humanitarian mapping and OpenStreetMap for a week. And that's kind of tied in with this alternative mapping week. And then we spend a little bit more. But we're here to talk about Felt. So Anna gave a really great intro and overview. For anyone who's not familiar with Felt, hopefully everyone here is familiar with GIS, but it's just felt.com. There's a lot of really great GIFs on the website before you even consider logging in or signing up. There's just, the homepage has so much great information on what the tool is. It's a better way to work with maps. There's overview on like the heavy analysis you can do. This is like dragging in a spreadsheet and points pop up. Talks about the integration with QGIS, which I'll share quickly today as well. And then there's a lot more information. So I encourage everyone to check that out if you haven't heard of Felt before. So I kind of split this up into before Felt and after Felt. The before times are a little darker. There's a frowny face, and then the after times AF after Felt is happy face. So before Felt, just want to go over how my course ran before Felt. So like I said, we have a week that we talk about open source or alternative mapping to Esri. And these few slides are stacked on top of my actual lecture slides. So we have a lot of different resources that we talk about, the OS community in general. There's a couple slides there. We talk about QGIS, and before Felt, it was just going over what it is. So like what QGIS is, we go to the website, look around. I had a screenshot showing the interface of QGIS, and on my laptop, which I bring to class, I bring it up, and so we can kind of explore a little more. Unfortunately, the lab computers don't have QGIS, so it's just kind of a watch the instructor walk through. And then we talked about some different related like mobile apps, and then some other tools. So Felt was missing. One of the things in the before times, I felt like the lecture was missing the equivalent of publishing online from Pro to ArcGIS Online. So I'm sure a lot of people here have used Pro and used that function where you can publish a map you've made in your desktop GIS to online. I figured that free equivalent was out there and it was just missing. So after Felt, we have that integration there. Just show you quickly. So this as an example, this is QGIS. It's just a quick project I made. OpenStreetMap is a base map, just to give context. This is just a trail I hiked with my dog in my hometown outside of Rochester. It's just showing the GPS trail. I imported this as a GPX file from Strava. So I use Strava. It's another app for activity tracking. You can make it a shapefile. All of that is to set up the stage for the Felt plugin. So it's really easy to add the plugin. You can just search for it. I already have it, so it's checked on, but it comes up really towards the top because it's add to Felt. So you can just look for it at the top. I already have it installed, but you can easily just click on it and add it. Looks like I need to update it, so I'll do that after. And if you have this plugin added, you have to just log into your account. So you have to make a Felt account. Making an account in general, just as an individual user, is free. I have the university email set up. I've already logged in. I say this is a beautiful map. I'm done with it. I want to publish it to online and share it out to all of my friends, everyone out here. You can just click on the add to Felt button. You can give it a name, or you can just leave the default. So I'll just say like trail, and that's what it is. It tells you that OpenStreetMap won't be uploaded with it. That's fine. I just have it here as a reference to show what this line layer is. And so I'll just click on add. It loaded, click open map, and you can see it's processing. I'll zoom in a little bit. And there it is. So this is one of the great things about Felt, I think, integration with QGIS. I really love this plugin, and I share that with the students. So even though we don't have QGIS on the lab computers, they can download it on their personal computer and mess around with this. So Felt helped accomplish that, sort of what I felt was missing. One of the other things that Felt helped accomplish, or in the before times, after we go through, or after in the past, we went through these slides, learned about different open source or alternative mapping tools. I had an assignment, so to keep the students engaged, it's graded, it's only 10 points, but it was kind of boring and unengaging. So this is a screenshot of the assignment. This was it. So it was just share your thoughts on different open source GIS options we looked at. Which one or ones would you like to use and why? which ones are you okay with never using and why. Pick one of the software and look at the help documents, find a tool that you find interesting in that software, summarize what the tool does, include a link to it, and what you think you can do with it. It's just a one-page write-up. So it's a kind of engaging in that they have to go beyond the lecture. But it's just a one-page write-up. That's kind of boring if you're in a GIS course. You want to have like a hands-on activity. Which brings us to the after times. Now there's a happy face. And so with felt, after learning about felt myself at the end of last year, playing around with it a little more, I made a quick assignment. Well, I guess it is 9 pages, so it does take a little time, but in general for a map, it's pretty quick. But it's more engaging, it's more interactive for the students. They're learning basic functions within felt, so we don't get too far into the like heavier GIS side of it. It's more more of an intro, but the students are free to take the assignment and run with it. So as long as they have the minimum for the grade, they're free to add whatever else they'd like. They can add raster data if they'd like. They can go, they can add like 50 points if they want. I just require them to add 1 point. So they're welcome to go above and beyond, but they're learning basic functions within felt and they're practicing skills that they've learned in the course up to that point. So one of the things, and I'll go through the assignment a little bit with you all, but one of the things that they're practicing the first couple weeks of the course, the main intro GIS course, we spend looking and practicing how to find GIS data. So sometimes that's one of the biggest struggles with a project is you have this really great project idea, you know, like the analysis you want to do for it, but you just can't find the data. So we practice finding data. We use a lot of government websites, but just like your idea and GIS, and that's how we kick off trying to find data. So one of the things in the assignment I require is them to download a small shapefile and then upload it as a layer to felt. So they're practicing finding data, they're practicing uploading data, they're also practicing zipping and like file management, because as hopefully all of us know, a shapefile is not just one piece, it's a minimum of 3 file pieces. So it's encouraging the students to think back on that key piece of info that we talk about in the course and practice that. They're also practicing cartography. So we do have a week where we talk about cartographic elements and like colors in general. Don't like make your rivers red. Don't like make other things really bright highlighter yellow or pink. So just practicing their cartography skills. So they have to, once they've added that data layer, they also have to add a layer from the data repository within felt, which we'll see in a second. Then they can practice editing the legend and changing the name, changing like line width, style, if they want it to be a dashed line, colors and things like that. So they're practicing good cartography, and they're also practicing how to create their own data. So within felt, which we'll also see in a second, there are a couple tools that you can use to kind of create your own data. So you can use the pin tool, which will add points. And then with that, you can change how the points symbolized. There's like emojis you can use. Sometimes depending on the location, it will populate with an emoji already, which is really neat. There's also the marker tool, which helps you kind of create your own line data. So you can like trace trails or roads, or just draw a line that you want to be on the map. And same thing with the polygon tool. So you can draw your own polygons. So their students are practicing creating their own data with that. And so let's see. what all of that looks like. So I'm going to have dual screen. On the right side, I have the assignment that I've created, and I'd be happy to share this out with anyone that's interested. There's also on the left screen, I have just a blank map in Felt. I'll just make this bigger for a second so you can see the ribbon. Your like menu is up at the top here. You also have like scale here, so you can click that like as you zoom in, the numbers change, so your scale is changing. There's also some other settings here. You can turn your legend on and off. And so go back to dual screen. So it's step by step, starting with like make sure you looked at our lecture slides so you're aware of kind of what's happening, what the point is. Step 2 is to create an account. So I encourage the students to just use their university account. They don't have to get too personal. Your name. So I just tell the students, like, if they don't want to add all their information, their full name, I put in here like your first name or a nickname would work for the purpose of this assignment. Then this screenshot also has where you would enter a password and then you create your account. I also encourage the students to do a walkthrough of the tutorial that Felt has. So I didn't have this up already. I think it should load pretty quickly, but this is a really nice, straightforward tutorial that Felt has. So I just encourage the students to start with this so they're not totally lost. And I like this tutorial, and it gives you an idea of the different pin like emojis you can use, basic functions. And then once they have gone through that, I also encourage them to look through some of the other examples. So there's a lot of good examples that Felt has preset. This is just one of them. It's showing forests in the US and droughts. So there's some data on wildfires, US Forest Service data, and wilderness areas. So you can zoom in and kind of see what's going on there. I also include an example of a map that I've made with Felt, so I'll share that in a minute also. And so then I just have some screenshots of like from the homepage, how they can create a new map. I've already done that, so you can skip that step. Highlighted, I encourage the students to just do something around campus. So our campus is down here. But they're free to do, they can make a map anywhere. I just encourage it to be around our campus, it's just easier. And I also encourage them to use somewhere in New York, just so because we talk about the New York State GIS repository sites a lot throughout the class, but other states have those, so they really they can do it anywhere. So first thing I encourage them to do is change the title of their map to something that's meaningful. We go through how to add layers. So some screenshots. The first thing that we have is to add a layer that is already cultivated and there for the students to use through Felt. I really like this function. There's a ton of layers that you can use, and I also really like that there's a button that you can request a layer. So I point that out to students. Sometimes there's something specific they're looking for that maybe others could benefit from, so it's a good option to have there. So they can pick any of these layers. They're not tied to one thing. Ideally, it would, if they're using New York State for their map, it would be a layer that covers New York State, but there's all different categories and things that they can choose from. I'll just pick schools. You just hover over, click the plus, and it adds. And then it's there for you. So this is a point layer. The symbology is preloaded and the name is already there. You can turn it on and off as well. So they can pick anything. The next step is to upload a shapefile. So there's an option. If I'm in full screen, it's this cloud with an arrow, and you can upload anything. This is where you can also upload pictures and other file types, but we use it to upload a shapefile. I don't know if I have one that's already zipped. Should have pre-did that. Actually, I can probably do this little trail that we saw in QGIS. So for the shapefile, you want to make sure it's zipped. I'll just add it as a data layer. Click create. Should upload pretty fast because it's just one line. But it's processing, so maybe I'll move on. Oh, all right, so that was fast. So they can upload a shapefile anywhere in New York. I just encourage them to make sure it's small, so not like all of the streets in New York State, because that takes a really long time to upload. And then once they have added 2 layers, I encourage them to have some screenshots on how they can edit the symbology. So you just click on the layer in your legend, and then these, like this little symbology menu appears. So you could change the color. There's all sorts of colors, and you can even like type in your hex codes or RGB codes if you have those. You can change the style. So if you want it to be thicker, thinner, you can change it to be a dashed line. There's all sorts of other settings in there. You can also change the name of it. So I encourage them also. So this one was already called trail, but sometimes it's like there's a lot of like underscores and letters and capitalization. So I encourage them to just make sure it's written in a way that looks nice on a map. I also have a step where if they don't like the layer they added, they want to add something different, you can go through here. Oops, I made a copy of it, but you can delete it. So there's some steps for that. And then the rest of the assignment is going through how to use the quote unquote editing tools, those points, lines, and polygons tools. So the first one we go through is creating their own line data using the marker tool. And so the marker tool is up at the top in that ribbon. It looks like a marker. If you click the drop down on it, there's other options that are there, like a highlighter, text. You can add some other stuff, but we just want the marker tool. And then once you click on the marker tool, it has the settings, so you can change the color, size. If you want it a little transparent or not, you can add that. And then I encourage them to trace something that makes sense to them. So if they use a certain path on campus, I didn't want to click that, but if they use a certain path, if they have like a specific route that they take, or like maybe they have a nice biking route that they take, they can just use the marker tool for that. This is not really tracing anything, but you just click and draw, and it's pretty easy. You can add as many lines as you want. I'll just leave those. This isn't the best. Hopefully the students are a little nicer, and I do have some examples where we'll see what they created. The next thing is a pin. So there's also like actual line and route tools that they can use, but we just use the marker tool. Maybe I'll shake it up and and sub out marker for line, but just to get practice using multiple tools. And the marker tool is part of like the annotation tools. The line is part of the shapes tools. So it's just trying to get them experience using more tools. But the next one is the pin tool. So I encourage the students to add like multiple pins, but really they're only required to add one. So you just click the pin tool. Here's where you can change your symbol. So you can have like shapes or you can have emojis. And sure, let's pick a crazy one. Feeling crazy today. And then I picked it. There. So you can just plop it down wherever. Ideally, it would be on a location that this emoji would make sense, but you can add a name and a description as well. And then if you don't like the emoji you picked or you want to go back to just a regular shape, you can do that as well. There's also a really cool function. Actually, I have to make this bigger with the search. So if you go and click the magnifying glass, you can search for your location and it'll put a pin this way. And I learned about the automatic emoji symbol based on the location by I searched for my favorite sushi restaurant and it just popped a sushi icon there and it already pre-labeled the restaurant. So I thought that was really neat. And I have that in the instructions as well, depending on where their location is. If they're using the search function, it could pre-populate, and that's fine. That's great. It's less work for the students if they use that route. One of the last things that they're required to do, also from the annotation set of tools, is add a note. So they can add a note. Usually it's about their location. But they can add a note about the line that they drew or just the map in general. Oh, I did write about the pin, but that's okay. So the note tool is really neat. The polygon tool is also one that we use. So they're just kind of tracing a shape. It's just a little bit of the highways in the city of Rochester. The polygon tool is really neat also because you can turn this area, toggle this button on, and it'll add the area of the polygon that you drew already. Like you don't have to do any calculations. And then there's also like symbology that you can change here as well if you'd like. And then that's the assignment. So there's a summary of all the things that they have to include, making sure one last time that they went through the directions slowly and have everything. And then all they have to do to submit this is click the pink share button, and that's up in the right corner, top right. It has information on your map, so it says who the owner is. That's me. You can change your settings. So right now it's anyone with the link can view it. You can change it to have anyone with the link can view and comment. And I think that's kind of like the one that Anna shared in the chat where you can add comments, or anyone with the link can view, comment, and edit. For this assignment, I just need to view it and make sure all the students have all of the requirements, so they don't have to change any of that. They just copy the link, and then on our course website, they submit it to a Dropbox. But here you can see, if I just paste it in the search, it should share. My internet might be slow, but there it is. One of the other things in the after times that's really great is, like Anna mentioned, the professional tier access is free for educators. So anyone that is on the call that's an educator and interested in that, there's a process that you have to go through in order to get your classroom verified. You have to have a .edu email and just kind of share that like you're actually teaching a course. Actually, I should defer that to Nora because there may be like some high schools or other classes that might not be .edu. But for me, I have a .edu email, and then there's these steps that exist how to set up a classroom team, and I'll actually should share that really quick as well. I think it's on this tab. I have too many tabs open. Let me go back to this one.
I can send that in chat for the live view so that anyone can access. I'll send that.
Awesome. And here it is. I don't have any students in it yet because it's at the end of the fall semester. But once the spring semester starts next month, I will add students in here and then we'll have some mapping. But you can see on the left side, I have a team that's set up for my classroom. But that's really great. Like you have more advanced functions that you can use for free as an educator and for free as students. And then there's some more collaborative aspects, including like you can publish layers to this team and students can add it to their maps and they don't have to all like have it individually. They can just access it from here. There's also, and I'm almost done, one of the great things about the after times with Felt, like Anna shared the mapping for educators blog, so there's some really great blogs for educators and then also in general just how to use Felt and some tips. So blogs on the website have been helpful. There's an online community that's really great. If you're interested, it's on my other tab. This is just the Slack community, but there's a Reddit community as well where people have been sharing maps. So online community is really great. And then the other thing that's been really great is active support staff. The folks on this call can see Nora and Anna are here. And then I just had an example quick. It's on this one. Oh, it's my other tab, sorry. On the side, in addition to teaching and sharing with students how to use Felt and keep that as a tool in their back pocket, this year I worked with a nonprofit in my hometown called the Friends of Webster Trails. So we were working on updating their interactive map on the website. Right now it's Google, but I shared Felt with them and how that they could use that and leverage that as they're also, in addition to trying to update their interactive map, they were learning how to use QGIS. The board members were to be kind of like self-sufficient mappers. And so one of the things that we had a question about was colors and how to, this was at the beginning of the year in February, so a lot has changed. And as you saw, like you could add your own like hex codes to change colors. But at the time that wasn't there. So one of the board members had a question into the support email, how to make your colors a little more saturated and not pastel. It seemed like pastel was the only option. And like within a couple hours, we got an email back with like an interactive video on how to actually do that. So it was like really quick support. I thought that was really awesome. Board members really appreciated that. Google's still on their website, but hopefully next year we'll have Felt. And then really quickly, I just wanted to share a couple maps to showcase how we've been using Felt. This is a map I created. It's an example the students have to look at in addition to the examples on Felt. Hopefully this will be on the Friends of Webster Trails website in the near future, but it's just a simple interactive map, just showing where all the trails are. And they can click on the trail. Actually, that's boundary, but click on the trail, you see like the full trail name and the shape length. So the length of the trail, that's in miles. If you don't care about other trails, you can turn them off on the side. And then I have a couple student examples I wanted to share quickly. This student, I really like their title. So it's called My Favorite Map, but RIT, and favorite was capital because that's our university. So they had a buildings layer. They have a bicycle layer. Not sure why these aren't turned on. They also have a college boundaries layer, and everything's turned off except RIT, so that really pops. They have different points around campus, a note about one of the points, and they have a line that they drew to some other locations, and a polygon. So these are the woods or their trees. A different student made one. They chose New York as encouraged, but they had it be New York City. So they spent the summer in New York City. They have some roads layers, subway lines. I'll turn those off. They're a little busy. Can't see it. A polygon where there's no direct service from the subway, so you have to like take the bus. I think they have some points. I'm assuming that's where their first stop is, and they ride to this climbing gym. They added an arrow subtext. The climbing gym is an emoji that represents the gym, so they changed the emojis. This is another one a student did their hometown in New York rather than campus. That's great. They have different shops they like, path that they take, their school. And the last one I wanted to share, the student took a different approach and did elevation in a certain park that's near our campus, which I thought was great. They used contour lines as one of their layers. They changed the different increments. They have some points to represent great like viewing places along the trails, and then some information about the one of those viewing points. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you so
Anyone
much,
have any
Catherine.
questions?
Love
Yeah.
love the presentation. Let's see. We have a number of questions. So if you have a question for Catherine and you haven't asked it yet, please post it on this map. I just shared the link in the chat, but let's see the questions here. I will address them one by one. First, we have how long does it take to get verified? Nora, I think, can take this question.
Yeah, so that will take less than 2 weeks, and we try and make it an even faster turnaround for you. So the goal is like 24 to 48 hours, but guaranteed to be less than 2 weeks to get your classroom verified so you can get onto Felt.
Awesome. Can Felt be used as a standalone map for making maps online? If you are asked this question, can you unmute? Not sure what you meant. It's probably if it's a yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was I meant can this be a standalone app, which I think you answered it already. So
perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Felt can totally be used as a standalone app. We have data uploads, styling, transformations. Even if you don't use QGIS, you can use Felt. Can you collect and export comments in Felt?
Yes, you can. So as the map owner, you can download your comments. And the cool thing about comments in Felt is they have a location associated with them. So when you download it, it will actually also include the coordinates tied to those comments. So you can do post-processing of those comments that way as well.
Great. Would like to know more about the company. Who created Felt and how long ago? I can take this one. Felt was created by Sam Hashemi and John Durock. They both have a background in mapping and B2B collaboration tools. Sam was a co-founder of Remix. It was a tool adopted by dozens of big cities around the world, including London and New York. And it was a tool for transportation planning and making sure that you can create a new bus lines, new bike lanes, and make it really seamless and intuitive for people who worked for local governments. And our CTO, John Durock, he worked for Uber for a very long time. He has some experience with mapping tools as well. So both of them founded Felt, I would say, 3 years ago. And our goal is to really create mapping tools on the web that enable both GIS analysts and people who work with them create maps and make this experience more seamless. So hope this answers the question. Next up, we have a question about QGIS symbology. Does QGIS symbology come over to Felt? It looked like the dashed line became solid. Catherine, what's your experience with QGIS symbology here?
I've had it be both. I'm not sure. It seems like sometimes it comes over and sometimes you have to kind of rejigger it. But I haven't used it enough to really test that. So I'm gonna have to get back to you on that and try using the plugin more. I've used it maybe 5 times, and when I was trying to catch up on some of the 30-day map challenge, and I tried to do a lot of those with Felt, I fell behind and tried to catch up, and then I just couldn't. I fell behind too far. But for some of them, it seemed like when I was trying to publish from QGIS to Felt, it seemed like it kept it, and some of them it didn't. So I'm not super sure. It's not really a good answer. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I can add a little bit too. So like points, typically the symbology gets carried over. I've had lines carry over. I think it might have just been the dashed line in particular. And then with like polygons, typically you'll want to style that in Felt. And the good news is that you can use Felt to teach those styling tricks, because we have great cartographic defaults, and you can still break up the data a number of ways. So Felt is a great place to style the data, is what I would say.
That makes sense, because when I was trying to use the plugin and catch up on the maps, it was polygon data. So that makes sense. That's why I didn't carry over. Thanks.
Awesome. Catherine, this question is also for you. Have you felt any pushback from university admin for using non-Esri software?
That's a great question. I have not, because it is an intro to GIS course. It's not like a intro to ArcGIS Pro course. So I have not had any pushback. I've had the open source week for, I think, since I started teaching the class, so January 2022. And yeah, no one said anything. So I think because it's my philosophy is like, I'm just trying to share all of this information with the students, especially like their university access to Esri ends when they graduate. So I just want to equip them with like other alternatives or post-graduation if they don't find themselves in a job or some other situation where they have access to that software, at least they'll know how to continue their GIS skills with other alternatives like Felt.
Awesome. Is there a file size limit to data uploaded in Felt?
I can answer that one. So each individual file we support up to 5 gigabytes per file upload. We typically don't hit limit issues with users for that reason.
Yep. Can you use QGIS to modify an existing Felt map, or is it a one-way publish process?
I can answer that one too. Yeah, so you can use QGIS to add data in QGIS to existing maps in Felt. So you can constantly work with the same Felt map and add any updated data, push that to the Felt map to refresh the data. So in that way, it is publishing one way from QGIS to Felt every time, but you can work with the existing Felt map when you use the plugin.
Great. And can we use Esri REST endpoints?
Yes, we support Esri map servers, feature servers, and now image servers as well. And actually what's really cool about that is you can just copy and paste the link into a Felt map. So you just copy the link, that map server, URL link, and then you paste it into a map, and will automatically pick up that it's a map server and give you the opportunity in a pop-up to just add that data to Felt. So yeah, we support those.
Yeah, I just added to our map a help center article about upload anything feature and all the ways, all the types of files you can add here, raster, map server. So you can explore by clicking here. And is Felt free to publish online maps? If you ask this question, can you please unmute and just clarify if you mean embeds or just publishing a map link to everyone so everyone can view? Just curious about your use case here.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I meant like ArcGIS online that you use to publish your map. Is this, and then share it with outside, with public, with your stakeholder. Is this the same way that Felt work, or there is a cost associated with that?
I can jump in here. I think it's a little bit simpler than that actually, because yes, Felt can be shared Felt maps can be shared publicly. Even our free tier, you'll have access to be able to share the link. And because a Felt map is created in the browser and exists in the browser, it's just a matter of sharing that single link that anyone can view. And the share permissions, and if you don't mind just clicking on that share, the pink share button, it's sharing is like Google Docs, basically. So that public access setting is how you can share publicly.
So you can set a password and set it to those who want to access it. You can limit the access as well, right?
Yes, so you can lock down public access, just like you can with a Google Doc. You can set none, public access to none, and then do an invite only. So Anna's now just inviting me directly to the map and inviting just Rachel. And so only the 3 of us would have access to this map, and we get the invitation to view it. So you have full control over who can see your map.
Yeah, no, like you said, this is much simpler than ArcGIS Online. That's great. Thank you so much. Can I have a follow-up question?
Of course,
Real
yeah.
quickly? So what about the raster maps? For example, you do have a raster map of, say, water quality with pixel shows, turbidity of the lakes. Is this, I just immediately created an account and uploaded my maps in here, but I'm not sure if I can see the, it's just a black and white map. I can't see the pixel value by clicking on pixels and things like that. So I just want to know what is the capability of this software for these type of things.
Yeah, so we support raster styling. So if you click on that layer, you'll see it. You should see a style menu for the raster. And if you don't, maybe this is something that I can work with you offline to really dig into that data piece that you uploaded. But yeah, we fully support raster styling. And so you should be able to style it according to those cell values. But yeah, as of now, when you click on a cell, you won't be able to see that value, but you can still utilize that data to style the raster in Felt.
And then if you don't mind, can you quickly show the styling option in here while you're...
We don't have any layers here, but
Okay.
I can,
Yeah.
let me go to layers and I can add something here. I actually see a raster file here. Let me see if we can zoom to fit. Here's my raster file, and then here is styling. It can be styled by color range, categories, hillshade, and raster algebra. And we also have control over opacity, legend. We can look into data. So
how did you bring this this window, the top right?
if you upload, so
yes, I uploaded the map and then
you
just click on here.
uploaded, so then you zoom to fit, and it has to appear here on the right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I just don't want to dominate the conversation. I'll reach out to you later.
Yeah, of course.
And one final question: if we want to use it in our campus, is a campus license for procedure, or how does it work? I know that you mentioned that there is a education free licensing things, but how about if you want to use it in our classroom for wide use?
Do you mean for research or for
both research and teaching?
I think for research there will be there is like a number of plans that you can choose from,
Yes.
both free and professional tiers depending on your needs. But for classroom, you can look into this guide, and it outlines all the steps to get a classroom verification.
Excellent.
Awesome. And I know that we have one more question here about cost and licensing for non-educational users. I can, Nora, maybe you can start, but I will navigate to the pricing page to just demonstrate this.
Yeah, sure thing. So we will always have a free plan come 2024 when our pricing kicks off. And then moving above that, we have two like self-service paid plans, standard and professional. And so just to take a note here, when you are a classroom on Felt, you get the professional tier for free. So that's what that whole verification process is about, is getting you on that plan for free. But these are the pricing models for those plans, and it's all based on editor. And an editor in Felt is someone who adds data and modifies data on the map, but a viewer and a commenter are free. So that's a little bit about how we price on those two plans. And then these lists below are just kind of the features that you get with each plan that it kind of builds on top of.
Right. Are there any, we have about 4 minutes left. Are there any questions from the audience? If you maybe didn't put it here on the map, we can take a couple of more questions if you have any for Catherine or for the Felt team. If there are no questions, I actually see one that I didn't notice here on the map. What GIS analysis can we do in Felt? I think I can take this one. We just introduced spatial analysis. It's a number of transformations, very common transformations that you can already, you probably are familiar with if you used QGIS or any similar tool. I can post a resource about the transformations that we just added here on the map, but also if you have any specific transformations in mind or spatial analysis that you would like to see in Felt, please add it as a comment, and we're happy to review these requests. And this is actually a list of transformations. We have buffer, bounding box, centroid, clip, count points, dissolve, intersect, and subtract. And I think what's very neat about it is actually we have live previews. So even before you perform a transformation, you will see how the end result will look like. So that's what's really different from a lot of other tools who are offering transformations. Yes, and we'll have a recording available to everyone who registered for this webinar and who attended. I will send it over by the end of the week. So you'll have all the resources that we listed here, Catherine's curriculum, and this useful links as well. Any closing questions or thoughts before we sign off? Okay, well, thank you so much, Catherine. That was a super informative presentation, and I hope it will inspire a lot of educators to try Felt in their classroom. And thank you so much, Nora. And feel free to reach out to Felt team if you have any questions about our licensing and the ways you can implement Felt in the classroom. You can reach us at support@felt.com, and I will also share a recording and all the useful resources in an email before the end of the week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.